You're slurping over there.
This episode is brought to you by Poopy. I think that's how you say it, right? Is it Poopy or
Yeah,
Poppy?
I would say poopy.
Poopy sounds better, but no, it's not. This episode is not sponsored by anybody. But welcome. This is the Comeback Sports Podcast. I'm your host AJ, and this is Season 5, Episode 5. And joining me today is a good friend of mine, David. Welcome, David.
Thanks, AJ. It's a pleasure being here with you.
Oh, likewise. Um, Me and David always talk about football, especially college football and NFL football, but we never really make time to actually collaborate together on this show. Um, a lot of it's because we just have conflicting schedules, and he's in a different time zone. So, David, what's the weather like in Buffalo at the moment?
It's really cold and rainy. I would say it's about 55 and drizzle. So it's not great, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's true. And you live outside Buffalo now, right?
I do in the suburbs.
That's right. Suburban boys over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling David that before we were going to start, I had to go next door to my neighbor's house to let her dog out. Bro, dog watching's so easy, dude. Like, I work from home already, so going over there and just letting the dog out, feeding him, and then playing fetch, it like 3-4 times a day. It's like the easiest 50
What kind
bucks
of dog is
I
it?
can ever make. Golden Retriever.
Golden Retriever. Those are good dogs. Good
Yeah, dude, I
dogs.
was like playing catch with him, and dude, he's like watching that movie Air Bud. Like,
Yeah,
he can legit catch the ball when I throw it at him.
I believe it. I believe it. Those dogs are pretty talented.
Yeah. So I guess before we get started, David, is there anything you want to say for the audience that's watching? The audience being like maybe 5 total people that ever see this episode.
Yeah, so to all Iowa State fans, we are finally making a comeback. We're looking like a football team from Saturday. I'll give Rocco and the boys some credit for playing through the stomach flu the week before, but they really showed what they are on
Yeah,
Saturday.
he had like 3 TDs and like
Yeah,
250 plus yards or something
yeah.
like
Did you
that.
see his air guitar move? Was super awkward. It's pretty embarrassing, honestly.
There's something about air guitaring that's just always a little awkward.
Yeah, the way he did it too, he was like looking directly down, and like the guitar was up. I don't know. You'll have to look it up. It's
Is
pretty
it kind of
awkward.
like when you're playing Guitar Hero and you lift the guitar up to do like the star power thing?
Yeah, you're thinking you're really talented, but not going to end up well.
Well, he's more talented than us at throwing the football, that's for sure.
That is. That
But
is.
yeah, congrats on Iowa State for finally getting the dub after a depressing 2 weeks. One being against Iowa Hawkeyes, which is my least favorite team in the history of sports, and then against I don't know what the other team was, but it was a pretty embarrassing loss. Who was it?
Yes, it was Ohio Bobcats, and it was played in Ohio because our AD did not want to pay the money to have it played in Iowa State, even though that could have been an easy one if you were in Iowa State. And guess what? You probably would have avoided the stomach flu altogether if we stayed there.
So you're saying it was a setup, like
I
the
think it
city
was
of Ohio poisoned the Iowa State football team?
I mean that's what analysis are saying. So I that's where I'd go with it.
That reminds me of when that on watching The Last Dance with MJ when they talk about the stomach flu game where he went against the Utah Jazz in the
Yeah.
playoffs and he was literally puking and shitting his brains out and still proceed to put up 30 plus points.
Well, so one thing to say about the Ohio Bobcats, it sounds like they had the refs paid off during that game. I don't know if you noticed, we had a field goal that appeared to go between the field goal, which is a field goal, but they did not count it. So, I mean, it's pretty sketchy, but pretty sure they were paid off.
Just like on the Pat McAfee show, when we make these allegations, we always have to end our allegation with allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, they got paid off. That's what the
Yeah.
story is.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you can see, David is wearing a San Francisco 49ers hat and shirt. We got Mr. Irrelevant, which is Brock Purdy, Iowa State quarterback for 3 years. And this is his sophomore season or second year. And him and the 49ers took care of business last weekend. So the Giants went to San Francisco. They lost 12-30. Mr. Irrelevant himself got 310 yards for 2 TDs. And he has a 9-0 regular season start to his career, meaning he hasn't lost a regular season game yet. On top of that, Deebo Samuel caught 6 receptions for 129 yards in a TD. And New York Giants, they didn't look too hot. I feel bad for our buddy Todd, who's a Giants fan. So what do you think, David? Would you say that the 49ers are probably the best team in the NFC at the moment?
Oh, by far, by far. I mean, the only competition maybe would be the Cowboys, but if we looked at last night, the Arizona, which is a nobody team, which people thought were gonna flop, easily went through them. Dak Prescott, I don't know how he got that starting position with such a big contract, but he's making good money for not doing much, especially with the Cowboys' expectations. But going back to the 49ers, I don't know who could stop them. I mean, it's going through their schedule. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, maybe the Vikings, but at the same time, it might be a close game. But Kirk Cousins, I love him, and I'm a huge Vikings fan, but he can't complete games, and their defense is rough. And besides that, I'm not seeing anyone who can really outbeat them. I don't know about you, AJ.
Let me take a quick look at their schedule too. But in terms of like, if we're talking about the big picture being like which NFC team, if they were to play them, would have a chance, you're right. I wouldn't put the Cowboys in that conversation just because, yeah, Dak Prescott is obviously not playing how much he's getting paid. The Cowboys themselves are not playing as well as they're expected, and so they lost to the Arizona Cardinals, who are not doing too good. Eagles have a shot, but outside of the Eagles in the NFC, gosh, maybe their division rival, well, not rival, but someone in their division would be the Seattle Seahawks. But in terms of like overall, like looking at their schedule, let me look at this right now. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. Vikings have a shot because I've been liking Kirk Cousins a little bit more this season.
Oh,
Here's why. I picked him up on my fantasy line, so I've been paying attention to Vikings games more often. And I collaborate with Brandon on his podcast. He talks with the Vikings all the time. And what we've seen with Kirk is, did you know that Kirk is actually leading the league in touchdowns?
I
And
did not, but I believe it.
yes, like I'm looking at I'm looking at the stats right now in terms of total TDs. Kirk has 9 of only to 2 interceptions. He has more passing yards than Tua too, and he's been cooking with the Miami Dolphins. So, like to me, it's like Kirk's not the reason why they're losing, especially when you have Justin Jefferson who can do it all. It's the defense itself that's just piss poor. That's making it difficult for the Vikings to close games. I mean, sure, there is the quarterback position is the most credited position in terms of the win or loss. So whatever hand you're dealt with, you got to step to the occasion. But I can't put all the blame on Kirk at the moment.
I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's throwing numbers too. I mean, he's throwing 300 plus games almost. Was it at least 2 of the 3 games this season, correct?
Right.
So I think it's not him. Granted, he has fumbled it in critical times. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's context. So that's definitely a
yeah,
big factor in terms of
yeah,
winning games. But in terms of the schedule, the only teams I can see them losing, the 49ers losing to would be the Seahawks or the Vikings. One person on the radar or team that's on the radar for me would be the Bengals.
I agree.
They play them kind of halfway through the season. Um Bengals are I haven't Bengals have been kind of a little bit disappointing. They haven't won a game yet.
It's the
But
beginning of the
it's probably
season now.
yeah, it will change around. I don't think they're going to finish with a losing record. But I still need to see some more out of the Bengals to determine what their trajectory is for the remainder of the season. But I could see that being a team that could beat the 49ers. But then again, they do play them um, in San Francisco, so the chance is very slim.
I just can't see it because I mean McCaffrey's putting up 117 yards per game, and I mean if you ever look at him, he can't be stopped. There's at least 2, 3 defenders that have to go on him, just like Deebo Samuel. Those 2 guys alone, are gonna just be scary,
Yeah,
towards them, especially with Brock Purdy. And if he plays like he's been playing this season and last season, where he hardly turns the ball over. I mean, there's only two fumbles this year, and one of them, I believe both of them recovered by the 49ers, right? From
Uh,
correct, I'm 99% sure they were. Um, but I mean, if he continues like that, he's going to go all the way, and he's going to bring that team all the way. And he's a great leader. He's always on the sidelines, supporting his teams, giving everyone high fives, talking to all of them. So I mean, there's great. What's the word I'm looking for?
he has the
Morality.
intangibles. He has the intangibles for sure in terms of he shows great leadership. And that's even been discussed last season when he kind of came under the spotlight and his teammates said nothing but great things about him, including George Kittle, who's probably one of his favorite targets at tight end. And yeah, Brock Purdy's doing all the right things. And it's easy to say like, oh, he doesn't have the arm talent, the arm strength like the other guys, but that's okay. Is he recognizes that and knows that he just needs to get the ball down the field. If he can do
Yeah.
that, the rest of the team can do the rest because his receivers, including CMC, Christian McCaffrey, those guys are the playmakers that will help him drive it down the field. And he just has to depend on them and they depend on him. Because I've seen him like when high pressure comes at him, he plays through the pressure and he doesn't flinch or anything when someone's coming at him and he follows through with his throw. And that's a small thing, but it comes a long way, especially on big moments where it's third and long and the blitz is coming at you. So Purdy's just got to stick to what he is best at and try not to change his style and just continue to listen to a great coach like Kyle Shanahan. Because I was just talking about this with my brother-in-law. My favorite coach in the NFL is Kyle Shanahan, followed by Mike Daniels. Kyle Shanahan, to me, has always is the most adaptable coach. I've seen him deal with so many injuries throughout his career, including star players being injured like CMC, and even his quarterback, Brock Purdy. And he still somehow makes the best of it and continues to be a contender for not only his division, but the NFC. So that's what I like about him. He's able to adapt well to inconveniences within his season.
No, I agree. And one last thing, I want to bring up. I know I talk about Brock Purdy a lot. Huge fan of his ever since Iowa State. Uh, I know you brought up George Kittle, and those two are pretty close. It sounds like. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but for the Iowa State
Yeah.
game, each of them made a bet. One of them had to wear the other one's mascot, and it looks like, Purdy wore the Herky the Hawk. So that's pretty great. That just shows how close those guys are, especially, the QB needs to be close to the tight end, especially.
Let me see if I can find that clip.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, I
Yeah.
found it. Let's see, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Yeah, it is fun to have that little, dynamic going on because they came from in-state rival schools. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, it didn't show my porn. Okay. Let's see.
Oh, is that what took all this time?
Where do you get that?
I read that George Kittle messaged, I think he knew like the mascot, who was the mascot, messaged them and asked him to ship it out for him. Then Purdy did the same thing for the Cyclones.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of the 49ers game, I wanted to share this clip too that I saw. Like, yeah, we need to talk about like the Giants. Like, I saw this meme and it pretty much just explained the whole game for the Giants, where Daniel Jones just looks completely distraught. Like, why am I here right now? Like, I'm sure there's probably more to it, but it just looks like he's just like scared and like confused.
That's pretty great. Honestly, I like Daniel Jones. I think he's a great quarterback for the Giants. I mean, look at the Giants history. I mean, they never really, you could say that, was it the Manning brother? I'm going blank right now.
Oh, Eli Manning, dude, he's literally a duplicate of Eli Manning in terms of like the facial features.
I know. I can never tell those two apart. But I mean, like he was like people say he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but have you seen him play? He's I feel like when he was in the league, he did terrible after he won that Super Bowl. I feel like he's Daniel Jones is surpassing what that guy did, but I mean,
Yeah, the argument is that Eli Manning is obviously not near as talented as his brother, or probably not as talented as Daniel Jones. But Eli has had such success because he played like Brock Purdy, to where he played well into his role of being more of that systematic quarterback, just to get the play done, and that's what led him to those two Super Bowls. And of course, that's why he's in the conversation for he can be in the Hall of Fame. Like, honestly, I think he should be. I mean, I've seen people that have only one Super Bowl that are in the Hall of Fame, so why can't he? Especially
yeah, I
since he
feel like
was.
they're handing that out like candy, though. I feel like you got to do something more than the Super Bowl because could put a lot of people in there otherwise.
Yeah, because like it's tough because someone like Dan Marino, who I admire as a player, I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks I've seen. But he doesn't have a Super Bowl. But I think he is Hall of Fame material, though. Like,
Oh
so
yeah,
it's tricky. It really is.
yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, go on, AJ.
No, go ahead.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. All right. So let's transition over to the next game that was on Sunday, and that is the Washington Commanders at the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills took care of business 37-3. Josh Allen, Josh Allen, I think is what's his Tony Romo says, which is really
Yeah.
weird. Um, 218 yards for one TD and one interception. And then on the other side of the ball, you had Sam Howell, who threw 4 interceptions. Poor kid. In terms
Yeah.
of receivers, Stephon Diggs got 8 receptions for 111 yards. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Chase Young, who returned from his injury with 3 tackles. I had a very underwhelming performance for Brian Robinson Jr., who came off booming last week. But in terms of the Buffalo Bills, David, um, do you consider Josh Allen to be an MVP contender this season?
The way he's been playing the last 2 games, yes. I mean, Josh Allen, he's a staple to the Buffalo Bills. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan because I live in Buffalo, obviously. I mean, they name streets after him. I mean, these people are diehard for him. But as long as he plays like he has been, he'll do great. But the issue is he has games where he does amazing, and he has games where he'll throw 3 interceptions. So I really think he plays with his mood. Like he does he just he's very bipolar. Seems like with football, he has one bad play, he's kind of multiple bad plays, or if he has one good play, he's going to have extremely good plays later on in the game. So I think he will be in the MVP conversation definitely at the end. I mean, that dude has a rocket of an arm. I mean, have you seen him throw? And he has Diggs, and Davis that can catch almost anything.
Yeah, Allen is very fun to watch. Coming out of Wyoming, I didn't really know much of him. I just knew he had arm talent, which is something I hear for a lot of prospects. And one of my favorite podcasters or sports podcasters, Zach Schaumler, said this once about like quarterback prospects and kind of what to choose when you're drafting. And he's right. You have to go with the guy with the most arm talent and potential.
Fix your mic, AJ.
Oh, is my mic not working?
It's going in and out.
Oh, does it sound better now?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I must have been hitting the cord or something. But anyway, to back to what I was saying, in terms of picking NFL talent or a quarterback, especially in the first round, you want to go with the guy with the highest potential in terms of his arm talent and his arm strength. In that class, Josh Allen had the biggest arm talent and strength, but he wasn't. He just it wasn't fully polished yet compared to the other quarterbacks in his class. So that's why he wasn't number one overall or even first quarterback taken. And that's what you have to work with. If you have a good coaching staff and you have a good plan to develop a quarterback, not just throw him into the weeds and call it a day, and you can really make the most of it. Like Patrick Mahomes, he wasn't a complete quarterback until his sophomore season. That's when he first actually started. He sat a year behind. Gosh, shoot. Oh, I can't remember who he started behind, but he started a year behind someone. And we saw what he became. He won MVP in his first season start. He just needed to be developed because Andy Reid and the coaching staff, they saw what this kid could do, and they liked him because he probably had some intangibles. He was a hard worker, good leadership qualities, and they worked with that, and they gave it time. Now these kids, they're just pressured to start right away, and they're probably not ready. And Josh Allen, to me, is that guy where he wasn't as great as first year or even second year. And he had a really great third year and fourth and so forth. He just makes a couple boneheaded decisions, and sometimes they're not his fault, sometimes they are. And in terms of the question if he's a contender for MVP, if he's a contender for MVP, yes, he is. And the way for him to get that is to obviously continue winning games, but to continue just tweaking the tiny nuances of what he needs to get to that next step to be, an actual Super Bowl contender because there is he's not a rookie anymore, and so he's got to you know show that he is worth every penny that they're going to pay him in the future.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely think he's worth every penny. I mean, he's amazing. I mean, again, just as you said, he makes some, every once in a while a dumb move, but it's really nothing where I can say I would do better because I am not athletic whatsoever. So, we can bash him as much as we want, but he's
Yeah.
going to do amazing things. And to go off Sam Howell, I know you liked him over at UNC. Is that right, AJ?
Sam Howell. I don't trust UNC quarterbacks, being Mitch
Yeah.
Trubisky as an example. But I would say I didn't dislike him.
Okay. So he's pretty consistent. If you look at the past two games, okay, not yesterday, he's put up very, very good yards, very good stats. What was his turnover? I have to look up his turnover ratio. But I know even yesterday you could say he's consistent in throwing 4 turnovers in each quarter. I mean, what other quarterback has done that?
I'm sure there have been a couple have done it, but not this season. But take away the 4 turnovers going into this game, his TD to interception ratio was 3-1. So you're right. Like the first 2 games, he was not doing too bad. In the
Yeah.
preseason, he had a very good preseason. And he's also a second year, so I'll let that slide because I gave Josh Allen the slide. We're like, okay, we're not going to judge Josh Allen in his first 2 years. So Sam Howell's going to get better. I just think he will. But then again, it's also the Washington Commanders. That team is not very good or supportive.
To go off of that, he didn't start last year. He only played 2 games last year. He won those 2 games.
Okay, that's true.
But he only played 2 games. So I would say, we got to cut him a little more slack than that, especially with everything that's going on with the organization.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes going on. Outside of Josh Allen, who do you have as like your top contender for the MVP?
That's a good question. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's always up there. Gosh, I'd say Patrick Mahomes. You can't. How do you do better than him? Did you see him play yesterday? I think I think he might have a crush on Taylor Swift too because the way he was playing. It's like I got to impress her.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later too. But in terms of like who I think is the MVP, or at least in the top running, it's actually between Tua and Kirk Cousins. Like I'm looking at the Vegas odds for MVP, and it kind of blows my mind that Tua is the lead. He's the leader. He has the highest odds at the moment. He's been killing it. But what blows my mind is like how much of a chance that Justin Herbert has over Kirk Cousins. And it really came down to whoever won that game yesterday in terms of who has the better chance. Like, I've never been like a super big Kirk Cousins fan until this season because I've been following him closely. But I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, but I'm still going to favor Kirk Cousins over Justin Herbert for the MVP contention, though. That just doesn't seem right.
I'm looking up some stats right now for Justin Herbert because I agree. Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. he just he was just playing the Vikings yesterday though, and both teams struggled to complete games. And that's the only reason he's one above him. But I think Kirk Cousins, I mean, obviously Justin's pretty young. He's 24, 25, third season, correct? Obviously, Cousins been in the league for almost 10 years. I think I agree with you. It's unfair that he's ahead.
Yeah, the argument can be made not just because of that win, but because you have Justin Jefferson on the Vikings. So I think it takes a spotlight from Kirk a little bit, where it's like, oh, Kirk's doing good because he has arguably the best receiver in the league right now. Well, Justin Herbert, you can't really say that. I mean, Keenan Allen's pretty good, but he's not Justin Jefferson. But I digress. Anything else before we get on to the next topic, my man?
So I did look, I googled Justin Herbert. I can see he did play very well. I didn't see that his rating was 123.8 for his QBR. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's a fantastic game he played. I mean, granted, it's the Vikings defense he was going against, but that's pretty good. I mean, although Kirk Cousins, he always has a pretty high QBR, with over on the season of 108.2 thus far.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very good in my mind. But
yeah,
that's my final thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I like Justin Herbert. I watched him at Oregon. He's good, and I'm glad that to see him growing into like a superstar. Hopefully that time comes. But like I said, Kirk is playing better than Herbert overall in general. But you can say that Herbert probably played equally, if not slightly worse than Cousins. But that's a topic for another day. Next topic we'll be talking about New England playing the New York Jets. New England went to New York, and they beat the Jets 15-10.
Terrible.
It's been very hard to watch. Well, both
Any
teams are
game
hard to
with
watch.
any game with the Patriots or the Jets, and I can't watch it. It's brutal.
Yeah. Mac Jones, who is the starting quarterback for New England, had 201 yards for 1 TD. Zach Milfson had no TDs, and he had 157 yards. Brees Hall, former Iowa State running back, had 18 yards for 12 carries. Another running back, Nick Broaden, rushed for 1 TD. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I see that Jordan Whitehead had 9 tackles. So tell me, David, is this Jets team destined for failure since it was built around Rodgers and not Zach Milfson?
Oh yeah. I feel like the owner of the Jets keeps breaking mares. It's another 8 years every time he breaks one. So this they have the worst luck. And I mean, Zach Wilson, terrible quarterback. I have no idea how he has that. I mean, they're stuck with him essentially. They're stuck with him. I know. There's rumors around the league that they want to pull in Winston or Kirk Cousins, but that's not going to happen. They don't have anything worth value of trading for him unless they trade one of their top running backs. So they are destined for failure. It's sad. It's sad because they have very good talent on their team. Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, those two guys are phenomenal players, but they're just on one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, and then you got Sauce Gardner, who's one of the best cornerbacks too. So it's just difficult when you see 3 talented guys like that on a team that it's just not going to get much. And it's weird because like you see like Al Lazard, and then you see Randall Cobb out there too, and it's like those guys are only there because Rodgers is there, and he's not even playing.
Yeah.
So it's almost like what is their role now?
That's the thing. They only know how to play with Rodgers. They really haven't played with anyone else. I mean, especially with Zach Wilson. What do you do with that guy? He's a 24-year-old kid who seems like he slacks off during practice, and during games. I always see him and he's just messing around, it seems like.
Yeah, the story of Zach Wilson's interesting because he obviously got drafted way higher than he was supposed to from BYU. And the reason why I say that is, one, he had a he's had a bad start to his career, and two, there was just such a small sample size from BYU for GMs or scouts to look at. They looked at one good year, kind of like with Mitch Trubisky. They looked at one good starting year. They said, okay, he's taking first over. He's going to he's going to be in the first round, and that obviously wasn't the right call because he's still developing much. He still has to develop much more than his peers or the guys in his draft class. And I don't really know much about how he is on the off season or in practice based on what I saw on the Hard Knocks episodes. He seems like a good kid. And I think he just wasn't ready for the moment to be the starting quarterback. And I think that pressure kind of got relieved once Rodgers was the starting quarterback. Because, you know, when I watch Hard Knocks, he was just like more lively and showed his personality. But now it's like, oh shit, like I'm the quarterback again. I thought I was kind of off the hook for a little bit. And it's like, and it's weird because I didn't really notice this, but like Rodgers is a very meticulous and he's very nitpicky and wants things to be exactly how he wants it. Because that's why he went to the Jets, because they're willing to negotiate. Like, oh, I want this player and that player. He's like, okay, cool. So like, these players are really designed or picked up just for him because Rodgers doesn't play like an average quarterback in terms of where he likes to throw or who he likes to throw. And what I mean by where is Rodgers is the type of quarterback he always wants to throw on the outside. He doesn't like to throw down the middle. And a lot of quarterbacks like to throw down the middle. It's the easiest spot to throw, but it's also the easiest spot to throw an interception. So Rodgers always avoids that. So now he's not there anymore. And it's like, okay, now we have to change the whole game strategy because we're not playing to Rodgers' cup of tea. So that's probably why it's not clicking so well with this offense. Also, the O-line just sucks too.
Yeah, I mean, you really got to thread the needle. I mean, it seems like, Zach Wilson should have taken some sewing classes in high school, to practice on that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he took some sewing classes with his mom and her friends.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that man will always have props in my book for doing that, though.
Yeah, but going back to what you said is, with the league, it seems like, a lot of times, teams will, I don't know why they do this, but they'll just look at very small sample sizes, with Trey Lance being another prime example. It's like why there's only a few games they can really look at and you're saying, oh, wow, he did amazing those games. What about the rest?
Mm-hmm. I just got a text from Brandon. He asked if I want to go to the Iowa game.
Who are they playing?
I don't know. Probably I think it's going to be a Big Ten West game.
Want to tell you a fun fact, though? I don't know if you saw this, but during the beginning of the third quarter against the Penn State game, DraftKings DraftKings had the over-under at 0 for Iowa at the beginning of the third.
Damn.
That's pretty bad. Yeah,
they're playing Michigan State. I like Michigan State, too. It's too bad they don't know how to take care of business with their coach and shit.
That's just embarrassing, honestly.
Yeah. All right. We can kind of skim through some miscellaneous topics here. We talked about the Dolphins a little bit, bro, and I honestly think this is the best offense in the NFL. They put up 70 points against the Broncos last night, and statistically, they're the 5th team to ever put up 70 or more points, and they put up 726 total yards, which is the 2nd most in history, including the playoffs. And what's interesting is they could have tied or beat the record for most points by going for a field goal, but Mike Daniels said, "Nah, we're not going to do it." He essentially just said, "We don't want it to break the record like this," and he pretty much just showed mercy. I mean, props to that dude. I would have went for it just because I'd be spiteful like that. But it's something, man. It's just crazy how we're seeing Tua, because people are knocking Tua down like, oh, this dude's a bust. But like now Tua is literally playing with. It's like he's playing in Alabama.
Tua has never been a bust. He's never been a bust.
I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he has so many concussions. He's just lucky he's still playing, but he's always injured. Always injured.
That's the thing. So when I watched him in college, like I saw Tua and like this guy can sling it, but then something happened. So he had a hip injury.
Too.
Yes, he had a hip injury right before he got drafted. It was literally like the season-ending hip injury. towards the end of the season. This wasn't that long. And his mechanics look so different when he came back from that injury going into the NFL. And like, it just never looked the same. And I was like, dude, this guy's not the same quarterback I saw in Alabama anymore. And like, now he is overcoming these injuries and these concussions, hopefully, because we were pretty scared for him last season. And it's just clicking, dude. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, Mike Gesicki. It's just clicking.
It's the
Tua can literally,
fastest team. Fastest team.
it's so fast, dude. It's that's what I love about this team is like it's great because it's fast and Tua just has to just throw it in one spot. He doesn't have to see a receiver. He can throw it 50, not 50, like 30 yards at this one spot, and a receiver will just land there because they're
Doesn't matter.
quick enough.
You can just throw it. Tyreek Hill's going to run there, catch it. The guy's so fast. I mean, who can stop him?
He has great hands too. That's like his
Yeah.
best feature too. Like people looking for speed, but I look at more for his hands, dude. He can just make those impossible catches like Garrett Wilson can and Devontae Adams and JJ.
He's more elite though. He can because he can run it and he can run through guys. In my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's just exciting to watch these guys, and I honestly have the Dolphins being my favorites for the AFC at the moment.
Next week's gonna be a tough game against the Bills.
Oh yeah, it's not even like a primetime game either, which kind of sucks.
I don't know who schedules these games. I saw something on Amazon. I was watching a Thursday night game where they have the analytics that can put the best games on the table. The stat that in like 1 second. And I'm like, if these are really the games that are the best, something's wrong with this AI generator. I don't know what it is, but
that's out of my department. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Justin Tucker, the kicker for Baltimore, who attempted a 61-yard field goal. That was literally, he was on the logo kicking this thing, and it was perfect down the center, but it was just like maybe half a foot from actually getting in. Like it doinked and right in the dead center of the goalpost. That dude's unbelievable. Like, sure, he didn't make it, but just be that dead accurate with that kick. It's always great to see.
It was directly down the middle. I thought it was going in. I mean, obviously we have the TV view, so we can't see, the true trajectory of it. But yeah. Fantastic. One thing I did want to bring up was Sean Payton.
Oh yeah.
He was saying, what was it when he got the job? He said something like,
"Oh, he's talking shit about Nathaniel Hackett."
Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. Oh, he's like, he's a terrible coach. All this stuff. The dude is going down in history for one of the highest scoring games, and he's on the other end of it.
Yeah. I never been a fan of that guy, considering he got in trouble with the Saints, where they had this like scandal where he was
targeting.
It was a targeting scandal where he would reward players if they would purposely injure other players.
I never knew how he recouped from that. I believe they actually made a movie about that.
Which, with Evan James.
Yeah, I think his ethics, they're nowhere. He's a terrible man.
Yeah, Roger said it best, man. He's an insecure man. Like he doesn't need to be going after another man's work like that. Like, sure, like he did a bad job. Nathaniel Hackett was not good in Denver, but like, bro, like, why are you? It's almost like you're using this as a scapegoat. Like, this didn't work out well because of the coaching job of last year carrying on over here. That's how I looked at it when he called him out.
You know what they need to do? They need to do what Primetime did. Whole new roster. Get everyone out. Fire everyone. Start fresh.
Yeah. What about Mr. Unlimited? You were keeping him?
Unlimited?
Mr. Unlimited. Oh, I need to show you something. I'm going to pull it up. Oh, my gosh, dude. I need to show you something. I'm going to do a screen share. 1 second. All right. Once I start playing, you'll probably remember it. Let's see. Let me make sure this is the right clip. Okay. Mr. Unlimited. Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes, Russell, the robot Russell, the one you guys love to know. Real exciting. Yeah, I'm real excited. But anyways, everybody has to have an alter ego, right? And I've been thinking about what my alter ego would be, and I think I have an alter ego. His name's Mr. Unlimited. You gotta have a thought process of being unlimited. So when people ask you, what you're thinking about or what you want to do in life or where you want to go, you gotta be unlimited. Tell them I'm unlimited. You know what I mean? So when they ask you certain questions like,
who brings you motivation, Russell?
Mr. Unlimited.
You get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mr. Unlimited, are we keeping him, or we're gonna tell him to kick rocks?
Kick rocks.
Poor
He's-
Ross.
No, he's a good quarterback. I think it goes down just.
It's a mental thing. I honestly think there's a mental thing going on because I saw him cooking his last 2 years in Seattle, and then all of a sudden just went completely downhill.
Well, I really think it's a huge thing that the coach and the quarterback had to be on the same page always, and it just doesn't seem like they've been on the same page.
No.
So what they're changing. I know Sean Payton is changing the word scheme for plays. I don't know if you saw that. They're shortening it down. So instead
trying
of
to like simplify it or something.
Yeah, they're trying to simplify it. I mean, I think what they got to do is just Russ got to tell them, hey, this is what works for me, and that's going to win games. I mean, it's just like Justin Herbert, or not Justin Herbert, Justin Fields. Yeah, where he did amazing last year. And we thought the Bears were going to be a great team this year, but look at them. Justin Fields is not playing where he needs to play. It's because they're changing the whole quarterback scheme. You gotta play with what you got. Whatever you drafted that player for, you traded that player for, they're only going to play well if they continue to play as they were playing. You can't just change their gameplay.
Yeah, there's a lot of communication needs to be communicated, especially at the coach and player level, at the quarterback level. And Justin Fields is an interesting case with the Bears. The Bears is just a dumpster fire at the moment, and I feel bad for I don't even feel bad for him anymore. It's just
don't feel bad. They've been a dumpster fire every year. The owners say, "Oh, we didn't make changes. We're not happy." Every year, but it seems like the changes they make do nothing.
Yeah, and it's like Justin Fields has been very quiet about it. Like he's been keeping it very internal in terms of we just got to just the typical script of we just got to execute and play better, things like that. But now he's just kind of fed up with it. Like it slipped out of his mouth saying he admits the play calling is robotic, and now of course ESPN and all the other media outlets are blowing it out of proportion. But you can tell he's getting very frustrated about it, to where it is now he's being more vocal about his struggles. And I get it, man. You're having some progress and now you're back down. It's I'd be pissed off, and I probably wouldn't be so quiet about those internal struggles either. But that team, I don't know what to tell about them. Oh yeah, did you know that Usher is going to be performing at the Super Bowl this year?
I forgot about Usher until I saw that little headline pop up on the NFL Network.
Oh yeah, Usher, man, dude. When Usher performs the Super Bowl, man, you're gonna just be chilling on the couch, and every 35-something-year-old American's just gonna be wearing long ass shorts, those capri jean shorts.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I like Usher. Usher's cool.
He wears the sunglasses all the time, right? He's that guy.
Every singer wears sunglasses all the time. But yeah, he does like to wear sunglasses.
Yeah.
I hope he starts off with that oh my God, that song.
So one thing I want to do is shout out to Nally, my not my girlfriend, my fiance, Janelle. She made me speed home yesterday because we were on the way back from watching the Bills game at her brother's. Yeah. And her father called her, and he was like, "Oh, did you see Taylor Swift is at the Chiefs game? The Chiefs game?" And she was like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta go back, Dave. Hurry up!" So we flew home, and
you flew?
Oh yeah.
Or you just sped?
I sped.
Oh, that'd be gee, I know you have a private jet over here.
No, my Jeep doesn't really go that fast, so as fast as it can go.
Okay, so you sped
But
home.
we got
to
back and
watch the
we
game.
start the game over. We started the game over, and she watched the entire game looking for any reference for Taylor Swift, looking for anytime the camera on her, she would jump up and leave. So it's pretty exciting, even though the game was terrible because it was essentially a shutout. But I'm glad she had that. Even though at the end of even at the end of the game, with Taylor Swift walking away with Travis Kelce and his flashy uh, sports jacket, whatever.
All right. Yes, seeing Taylor Swift at the game was a surprise. I thought, I saw Travis Kelce in the Pat McAfee show, calling his shots, saying like, "Oh, I saw you getting it down at Arrowhead. How about you come see me getting it down at Arrowhead?" I was like, "Oh, okay, it's just him, being, just trying to flex." I once I saw them, like, oh my gosh, she actually showed up, and so yeah, of
They're
course,
dating.
like,
They're
yeah,
dating.
I didn't believe it because Jason Kelce said they were dating, but Jason Kelce was also the same guy that said he was going to start week 1 and he didn't. So I was like, I ain't believing this shit until I see her literally at the game.
You know what though? I had the inside of it. Janelle had the scoop. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I just remember my brother-in-law was so pissed. He's like, "Why the hell are we watching Taylor Swift every 5 minutes?" I'm like, bro, because it's Taylor Swift. Like, whether you like her or not,
She's the
she's
biggest pop
arguably
star.
the most famous person in the world
Yeah.
at the moment. So if I'm ESPN or if I'm any media outlet, I'm gonna milk the shit out of this. And they did. And of course, everyone was pissed. Oh yeah, but speaking of that clip of him walking out with Taylor Swift in the locker room, I do want to share it on. I want to screen share this one as well because I want to point something out that was just so funny to me. Let's see. Okay. Let's watch this. Okay.
Hey,
How you
how's it
doing?
going?
Okay, watch. Look at that. Can you see him?
Yeah.
Look at that side eye where you're like, "Hey, don't fuck it up, man. I'm trying to score." Don't embarrass me in front of my your girl.
He's not happy, and Taylor Swift's a pretty private person with her life, so
You
he
can
probably
obviously
knows
tell
that.
his teammates are probably behind the camera, like snickering, like hooting him on. He's like, "Hey, man, don't screw this up for me. I don't want to think I'm some kind of creep or some kind of douchebag." He doesn't. He does look like a douchebag.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel like everyone's saying he's a douchebag, but at the same time, on the field, you could say every NFL player is a douchebag, but I haven't seen him off the field where he's done anything stupid.
Considering that I know her dating history, like, she dated Gyllenhaal, she dated Harry Styles, she allegedly dated Matt Healy from the 1975. I would have never guessed that Travis Kelce was her type.
No.
Yeah,
Well, I
and then
think
she even dated like posh
Hey.
British guy too.
Yeah. Hey, it might work out. They might be married one day and have some kids. Be some great volleyball players. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, because people forget that Taylor Swift is really tall. Like
5'11".
yeah, bro, that's pretty tall. Like most girls are not that tall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like
Yeah.
laughing. I just remember watching this, like, dude, he's just like, hey, hey, don't screw this up for me. Like, like that Billy Madison quote, he's in the bus.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect of this relationship. I hope they have fun, they enjoy some time together. Do you think she'll make a song if they break up, or is that kind of out of the question?
100%. She's gonna make a song no matter what. So I mean, if they're with each other, song. If they're not with each other, song.
What would be your guesses of a song that would be about Travis Kelce?
So don't call me conspiracy theorist.
Was Janelle home?
Janelle? No, she's not home.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe we should get her involved and see what her thoughts.
Oh, she was saying because he's number 87, right?
Yeah.
She sung about 87, some football player wearing 87, in her 1989 album, something like that. Don't quote me, but something with the 87 jersey that's already happened. So, but the song, I feel like it's gonna be like the jock song, you know. She's gonna be like the nerdy school girl, like in high school, and he's gonna be
Taylor
like the
Swift
big
is
tough
not a
guy.
nerdy schoolgirl.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
If I were to make some guesses of song, I'll try to think of 5 on the fly. I think one song will be called 87, just like the name of his jersey.
Okay, fair.
Maybe a second song will be The Chief, because he plays for the Chiefs.
Very creative, AJ. Go on.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Maybe this is kind of a stretch, but maybe we'll shove a song called Heights, like named after his podcast.
Oh, hey, I don't listen to that podcast,
That
but
podcast is so funny.
hopefully it didn't say anything dirty because those Taylor Swift fans, they will find it.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. 2 more ideas. She could write a song about him. I'm still looking at this pause of him just staring at the camera.
It's a death stare.
Yeah. Gosh. Maybe. I don't know. End zone, because he plays football.
He gets there a lot. Arguably the second best tight end ever.
Who's the first?
Gronk.
Gronk is always a what if for me because he's been injured so much. I think
Wow.
Travis Kelce will finish, said and done, will be the best tight end in NFL.
Think so?
Oh yeah. Gosh, I got to think of one more. Travis Kelce. I'm trying to think of things that are punny with Kelce or Travis. Yeah, I think 87 would be the name of the song, honestly. I do like the Chief. I think that's the coolest name for a song.
The Chief. That's a cool name. Chiefs have a great name. I love watching the Chief games because those chants and everything. I love it. You know, especially in the beginning of the game. Ring
Yeah.
that bell.
Yeah,
Whatever it is.
My favorite NFL team name to this day is still the Washington Foreskins.
Hey, tell it to the new owners. I heard they're trying to change the name to something else.
Gosh, dude. That's another team that's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumpster fires right now.
Well, anyway, well, shout out to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I hope things go pretty smooth for them. But yeah, I know you're talking about. I saw this clip where it's like Mahomes looking at the press box, and he did like this like awkward wave at the press box.
Oh,
I wonder
go on.
I wonder if like her and Brittany Mahomes will hang out. That'd be kind of cool.
I mean, the way that she was chanting at the game, it sounds like they'd be a good match. I mean, they both get loud and like to scream for their boys.
Yeah, that's true. Oh God, I hope I don't see a Jackson Mahomes and Taylor Swift collaboration on TikTok.
Oh, don't say that, man. Don't say that. That guy. Every time I see that guy, I just think, what does Patrick Mahomes see in him? It's like he's his brother. He's his brother, so he has to support him. But it's like he's so embarrassing, man. So embarrassing.
I hate to be kind of the negative Nancy here, but think about it though. His closest family member, his brother, is annoying and unlikable. His wife, kind of the same boat. She's annoying and a little bit unlikable. And the common denominator is Pat Mahomes.
He's probably annoying.
He's probably annoying. Maybe he's putting on a show. Maybe he does these things with them that's annoying.
The frog. So,
but I doubt. I'm not going to doubt anything because you just never know. But I hope that's not the case. That's what I'm going to get with that. Because like as much as Patrick Mahomes rubs me the wrong way sometimes, I think he's a little cocky. But thinking you're a quarterback, you have to be cocky. I do want some like likable players that are. You know, I'm not saying you have to be a perfect model citizen, but just don't be annoying and dislikable.
Yeah, so far he hasn't shown that he's annoying. I think it's because of how good he is. Maybe we overlook. Maybe he's really annoying. We just see that he's so good at football that's like we just overlook it.
Yeah. Honestly, if I could be the best at football, and all I had to have was just an annoying Kermit the Frog voice, I'd do it.
It's pretty funny though.
It's a pretty funny voice. It sounds like Danny McBride on Trailer Park Boys.
That's great. That's great.
That's all. That's all I have on my end. Oh yeah, before we close things off, just want to remind everybody that a friend of the show, Brandon, has his own podcast show called the Unscripted Sports Podcast. I will show a brief clip right now, and make sure to like and subscribe to that show. And so it's going to come down to that regular season matchup to determine who's going to win the Big Ten championship, just like every year. And looking at their stats in terms of production on offense, points per game, Michigan has 32 points per game. Ohio State, 40 per game. Defense, Michigan has 5 points per game that they allow. Ohio State has 7. So okay. So David, anything you want to close off the show with?
Let's go, Purdy. It's going to be Brocktober.
Brocktober, yes. I remember those days.
I'm not expecting a loss anytime soon.
You know what? I honestly am not expecting
One last thing.
anytime soon.
One last thing. I got here. Where's my camera? It's awkward position.
You can do a couch casting video?
Yeah. I got the Purdy jersey over there.
Oh, I do see it.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
got an Aaron Jones jersey this month.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and he got injured.
Yeah. That will happen. It's a very violent sport.
I was supposed to go to a Wisconsin game this month with Brett, but I had a family event. My mom's having a Halloween party. But
Nice.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this 5K run. It's a 5K beer run, and I looked into it. And you run a 5K, and then every half mile you drink a beer, or not a beer. You drink like 3 ounces of a beer. Like a
Oh,
little
that's
mini
nothing
beer.
to you. That's nothing to you. Used
Shit,
to
I'm
practice that every Monday morning when we were in college. After you ran the couple miles, you would chug a beer, Budweiser.
Yeah, I had to do that same thing when I did that that beer mile in July. And honestly, bro, that was hard to train for. Like drinking, like working 8 hours, 9 hours, and then drinking beer and running, and then carrying out the rest of your day was just, bro, I feel exhausted and I feel drunk and I don't want to do anything now. And that's the thing, dude. Beer makes it hard for you to sleep. So I had trouble sleeping at night when I do this shit.
You gotta drink that chamomile. Am I saying that right? Chamomile tea. That's what you gotta drink.
I guess. But yeah, looks like I had to do it again. Because I looked at the times, man, like shit, I have a chance of winning this thing, and so I want to go for the dub.
I'll support you.
Yeah, so that will be in October. So I got about 2-3 weeks from now to train for it.
Is that in Chicago?
Nah, not Chicago. It's in my suburb, so just outside Chicago,
Okay.
which is nice. I don't have to travel far.
That's nice.
Mount St. Mary's Park. Okay, that's where it's at. Yeah, it's in my town.
Okay.
What do you got plans? You got any big plans? You going to any football games?
No football games. I'm going back to Iowa though.
Oh, that's
this
right,
week,
in October.
Flying back there, so gonna reach out to some of the boys. I don't have a car, so that's going to be an issue since I'm flying. But
Okay.
see if I can reach out to any of them.
Okay. What weeks again? And please tell me your address on this recording.
It's
along
gonna
with
be
your social security number and your list of biggest fears.
September 29th till 15th.
Oh wow, that's literally this week.
Yeah.
Well, man, the race is on the 14th. If you have a ride up here,
Hey, if I can make it, I'll go. But chances are not.
don't worry about it because I'm actually going to be in Davenport that Saturday for my mom's party. So you can come to the party if you want.
Okay. Well, I won't be able to. It's my nephew's birthday party that day.
Happy birthday to him.
Got him
Okay.
2 Lego sets.
Wow, Legos are cool. My nephew likes Legos too.
I enjoy Legos myself. So
Dude, I like how Legos now the instructions are on iPads and they do it step by step. I'm like, bro, I remember just going through a little book thing and like if you miss that step, you're fucked. You start all the way
if
over.
one of the pages was like stuck to the other one, you skip that one. Oh, that's awful.
Oh yeah, and you can like rotate the model too, so you know exactly what you're looking at.
I feel like that's cheating. I feel like that's cheating.
I don't know. I remember I was helping him. Like, this is so much easier, more enjoyable. All right. Well, thanks again, David, for joining on. You'll have to come back on the show. You're always
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Anytime.
Just like the rest of my friends, you are now part of the Comeback Sports family. So welcome anytime.
Thank you, AJ.
All right. Thank you for everyone that's been watching our little episode. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Every little bit helps. We will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.
Peace.